All right, I think that's critical mass. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the first session of the year for the Generative AI Practice Group. We're really delighted to host the Microsoft team, Tirza and Martin, for a deeper dive into specific generative AI use cases that are relevant for our work. The session is going to focus on generative AI products to use for specific use cases, and it's really going to help us frame how we think about that selection process and what the considerations are when we do so. Tirza and Martin will be demoing 10 use cases. So we're going to do this in rapid succession, and we're going to be a bit tight on time. So if you can all bear with us, after each demo, we will open up to Q&A and take approximately 1 to 2 questions. And if there are no questions, we'll just move on to the next use case and hopefully have some time at the very end for a dedicated Q&A session. For those who are part of the Generative AI group, you should have received a pre-recording for the session, but don't fret, it's not mandatory. It was just sort of helpful for following along, but you should still be able to. We will be sharing the recording of this webinar in addition to the prep session recording after this session. And for those who aren't part of the Generative AI group already, I will be linking in the chat the form to fill out so that you can join if you're interested. All right, without further ado, thank you so much, Tirza and Martin. Over to you guys.
So, Tirza, you take to start with this one?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Fiona, so much, and Johanna. So if you haven't watched the pre-recording that Martin and I and Jamie did a couple weeks ago, that will be sent out, like Fiona said. We'll go into what each Copilot is in that. This is more to show how to think about when to use which Copilot. So if you don't know, Microsoft is putting generative AI into essentially everything, which is kind of what this slide is depicting. We're just going to touch on a few of them here. So can you go to the next slide, Martin? Thank you. And so as you think about, probably one of our number one questions is to include internally is when do I use which generative AI product and what are the differences? So just wanted to briefly touch on this. We go more in depth on the recording that we did a few weeks ago. So really starting from the top, you want to try to look at that's going to be your most user-friendly and easiest to do. And then as you go down lower, it becomes more customized and it requires more time, energy, and resources to do. So just wanted to highlight that this is, I think, a pretty decent decision chart as you think about what tools to use for what. And I see the question, it's 60 minutes. We're going to try to do about 4.5 to 5 minutes per use case with a couple questions and then go for. Okay, so that's kind of how to think about that. I don't want to harp on this too much, but just know that there are some of these do overlap, which you'll see, and you can choose which one you want to use based on a variety of factors, which we talk about in our other presentation. However, we want to really aim at doing the one that's the most user-friendly. So start at the top. If you can do it at the top, do it at the top. You want to save the custom use cases, the hard use cases for the bottom. So you always want to do the least customizable option if you can. It just makes everyone's lives easier. Okay, so with that, we will dive right into the use cases. So I'll pass it back over to you, Martin.
Thank you, Tirza, and hello everybody. My name is Martin. I'm based in Europe and responsible for all United Nations customers who have their headquarter in Europe as an account technology strategist. And I will start my demo use cases basically with the first one, but let's with Bing Chat Enterprise because that's available to you. And I thought let's do this first. So one use case that we got, and well, we got many, but we picked a few from you, is, creating, for example, if you imagine that you need to create a job description for hiring, you would want to find somebody who has all the skills and fits well into the UN. And for this, I would suggest to use Bing Chat Enterprise. And now let me switch over to this. I have a lot of stuff open here. So let me go to, here we go. So in principle, if Bing Chat Enterprise is the service that is using the internet to satisfy queries and does not touch on your Office 365 data estate. So we purely use the internet here. And let me now, while I keep talking, let me put something in here, a prompt that I prepared so that I don't have to type all this. Just a second. So let's say I go here and put that in. This is a prompt which has all the ingredients. It tells the system who I am, what my wish, what I want to do, and what my objectives are. And you can then simply go here and submit this prompt, and you will get a response back. A few things that I wanted to outline on this screen while the system is now working here. I am logged in with my corporate credentials, so with my Martins at Microsoft.com account. That means that I'm completely protected in terms of the prompt, in terms of the fact that I am using the service. So this information that Martin is using the service now is deleted immediately after the request, and as well the prompt that I have put in and the results are protected. This is the only difference to Bing Chat if you go to this service without using corporate credentials. For example, if you use your Hotmail account or Gmail account to access the service. So what you can see here, I'm sure some of you played with that already. What you can see here is in terms of the response, it's a pretty elaborated response. So you have to, I said here, I just took EFAT and all these numbers are not correct. This is all fictitious. But I said, for example, I want to have what this person that I'm hiring should do. I said, please give me the Microsoft certifications that somebody would ideally have who can deal with security and identity management. And the system should also put in some text that talks about the United Nations and the public good, and this is what we got back. Yeah, so it adds a lot of information which it finds on the internet. It added, for example, I have not written anything about a bachelor's degree, and it adds other things as well here. Here are the Microsoft certifications that this person should have, and it's a pretty good selection. If you find somebody who has all that, you can trust that this person is really fit in this context. A last piece that I wanted to give here as well, you can now, let's say in our scenario, we get the day comes closer where you have this interview as the hiring manager, and you think about, what could I ask this person? I'm the hiring manager, give me 5 open-ended questions, and that I could ask this meeting this person during the hiring discussion. Also here, I think, that's useful, and in general here as well, always treat this as ideas, hopefully good ideas, as drafts. This is not authoritative. It can even be wrong. And everywhere where we use Copilot, Microsoft is displaying a warning and saying it can be wrong and please double check and everything. So a last thing that I wanted to give everybody, a good prompt. What is a good prompt? Because we got that question very often. A good prompt has three things, which I outline here. This is just because I copied from OneNote. So it has, who are you, a persona? Yeah, who is the person? It's as the hiring manager, as an expert, as a 15-year-old. All those phrases with which you start and explain to the algorithm who you are very important, because the answer depends on that. If you say here, I'm a 15-year-old, get a completely different answer. So the second thing a prompt should have is what do you want from the prompt? Yeah, and the third thing is it should have a clear objective. So always be explicit in what you expect from the prompt. Yeah. So this is a good prompt. A bad prompt would be give me 5 interview questions. It's clear anyway that this is a bad prompt, but this is a good prompt. Okay, so this was the first one, and I'm not sure how much time. I hope I didn't use too much time. I think I need to be faster. Are there any questions now?
No questions. I believe Tirza answered them in the chat. So just in the interest of time, let's move on to the next one.
Okay. The second one now, if we go back here, so this is what everybody can do, and I think all our UN customers are licensed to use Bing Chat Enterprise. The second demo that I will now show is a demo where data from the Microsoft Graph, from your Office 365 environment, will be used to answer the prompt. And this is a simple scenario. I get 1,000 emails a day, many with long threads, and I have no time to fully digest. Also, I'm not always sure about my tone, and I need assistance here. So let's go in my Outlook, because now I will use Outlook. Give me a second, where is my Outlook? Here. Okay, and I will use something that I tried before, just to be sure to not show any confidential data. So we have here our UN AI event and our discussion with Fiona. So first of all, one of the things that you experience for sure, as often as I do, you get an email thread, and all of a sudden somebody after the 10th reply CCs you. And then you think, okay, do I really have to read through this whole piece now with the 10 answers? And sometimes it's much longer than here. One thing you could do is click on this button here, which says summarize the discussion. And this is what the algorithm is now doing, using the emails, using tenant information. And this is part of the Microsoft 365 Copilot offering. Let's give it another second. Almost there. Scanning your email. So this is the summary of the whole thread. It's normally very, very good. And you can now look at this and say, okay, this is something where I should reply, and let's do that. You saw that I have scheduled. Let's say I have scheduled here for the sake of this. I have seen that I only have 30 minutes for my presentation, and I write some text here. And also, as you might see here, hey, 30 minutes is too short. I need 1 hour, make it 2 hours. Martin, yeah. So this is maybe a little bit rude. So we need to adjust, or try to adjust the tone a little bit. And here you have two possibilities. You can draft with the Copilot and click on this Copilot icon here and say, okay, I want this casual, I want it medium or short. Let's go with casual because it's not super formal. And then the system will try to reformulate what you just said, what you just wrote, making it a little bit nicer and adjusting the tone of the email. So this is one thing, and you can, of course, have multiple suggestions, and you can, okay, let's. I don't like that. Let's regenerate, and then if you have something that you're satisfied with, you keep it, and then you go on and send it. Yeah. So that's also a scenario which we got. The next one that I want to show. Let me go back to my. Any questions? Yeah. So the next, go ahead.
We actually have quite a few, but Tirza, maybe if you want to answer in the chat directly and we can move on to the third, or should we stop and pause? Okay, thumbs up. Awesome. Over to you, Martin.
Okay. The next one is I need to write an RFP. RFPs are usually a lot of work, and I always experience the other end of it because I am getting those RFPs then, hopefully. So I use and I want to show you how you could now use Word to create an RFP or a document in using the Copilot. So if you open Word and see the Copilot, you can now you are automatically greeted with this screen, and where the Copilot asks you what you want to do. And this is the RFP. This is also as well fictitious, of course. I just took UNICEF, and it's an RFP about data strategy. Describe again what is expected, go into detail, be explicit what you expect. The more explicit you are, the better the responses are. We need a database. We do consolidation of databases, and we need a unified data strategy. And let's now create the RFP. The difference, so what you get here is a full-blown Word document. It's not that you can keep and continue working on. It also adds a lot of useful background information. I just make it maybe completely big here, that you can use. Of course, it's too long during this demo now that you read all this, but if you like, you can try it yourself if you have already a Copilot, or I will send you this document. It has it has the ingredients of most of what you expect from an RFP document. It gives you an objectives and scope, and thinks about the timeline and the budget and so on, and the evaluation criteria. So that's kind of what you have here. I did this. So yeah, submissions and requirements. So this is now almost, I think, done. And with this, you have an RFP almost. But as I said, always don't take for granted what comes back from this thing. Always check it, have a look at it, and so on. Yeah. Then, by the way, I wanted to show you something as well. In addition to that, this is now, I'm not sure if we have time, but you can take this RFP and create and use PowerPoint. I just show it and we don't wait for it until it's done, yeah. And use PowerPoint to create slides automatically out of this Word document, so that you can also, you know, have the according PowerPoint slides and discuss it in the team. Yeah, if we have the time at the end, I follow. Are there questions concerning this?
Martin, can you just clarify? Oh, Martin, can you just clarify Bing Chat Enterprise versus Copilot and how you get access to either?
So, yeah, Bing Chat Enterprise is that's of course a super important question. And so Bing Chat Enterprise, you can get access to it. Yeah, so we bing.com/chat. Yeah, so that's maybe the user interface that you know. That's it. Yeah.
So I think each tenant of M365 has to enable it for their org. So if you don't have access to it, you should request it through your IT admin. For M365 Copilot, that's an additional license.
Yeah.
And I think, Martin, there's a lot of questions about that in the chat. Is like, do I have access to this?
So let me show you something. I am now starting a new browser. This new browser here is a browser where I am logged on with my personal credentials. Yeah, and I can go to bing.com/chat as well. And the big difference that you see is, or will see in a second, is that you have the same functionality that I showed you before, but you don't have this green thing here which says your chats and your identity is protected. Look, if I switch back to the corporate browser, then it's Bing Chat again, and here I am protected. So at home privately, but please do not use company information or anything that is confidential. You can do this as well by simply using any credential and go to bing.com/chat. If you want to put in any, let's say, sensitive information, you don't want anybody to know that IFAD is hiring somebody or creating an RFP, then use the protected version. The protected version automatically kicks in if you log into bing.com/chat using your enterprise credentials, whatever enterprise credentials, and then it's protected. The name, your identity is automatically deleted, and also the prompt and the prompt results. Yeah, and that's the web. That's has nothing. The bing.com/chat has no access to your work environment. That may be clear, hopefully. Yeah, and if you don't see it, it needs to be enabled by somebody in the organization. I move on.
Yes, please, Martin. Thank you.
Okay, then I move on. A scenario which is very common as well, and each of us has it every day. There is a meeting, you want to join, maybe you cannot make it, join a little bit late. Somebody needs to take meeting notes and create action items. And so a super common scenario, How would you do that? I will use for my presentation, for my demonstration here, my own Teams environment, and I will use I will show something that we have done about 2 weeks ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago. We had Tirsa, Fiona, and we had a joint meeting, an online meeting, and we discussed what we would talk about today. And this has been recorded. If you record it, it's automatically transcribed. And if you have the Copilot available, you get something which is called recap. If this is this feature here on top, if you click on this, you see that some information about the meeting. You see here, of course, the transcript, which is, of course, a 1-hour call. That's a lot to digest. So it's better to let the Copilot summarize the whole transcript, and this is what you find here. So this is 4 points here. This is now not 5 pages anymore, but a more concise summary of the presentation. If you have to send out meeting notes, you can copy paste this. If you want to dig in a little deeper, you see who has been talking during the meeting. So it was Tirsa at the beginning, and it was me, and then Jamie said as well a little bit. These were the topics that we discussed. So this is all automatically created from the transcript and by using the Microsoft 365 Copilot features. And so that's basically it. You can, of course, listen to this. You can also say when did Martin start to speak. So maybe I can jump immediately here and see this is where this happened, and also can go through the topics and look here, when did we discuss this functionality here, or maybe the decision tree for this. So for which Copilot to use when, yeah. So we are now in the second line, by the way. Here we did Jet Enterprise, and now we're doing Microsoft 365 Copilot. And I will only show a little bit about the Copilot Studio. So basically, this is how the Copilot can help you in working with teams. Understand what you can also do, of course, is ask the Copilot here and say, if you're late to a meeting, what happened in the first 10 min of the meeting? And you will get an answer back and say a summary of what happened in the first 10 minutes of the meetings if you're 10 minutes late and you don't get in and don't know what was discussed. So I think very useful functionality for a very, very common scenario, which is meeting notes and understanding what others talked in meetings. The next one, and any questions for this one?
I think a lot of the questions are about access, and we're managing them in the chat. So maybe in the interest of time, we should just move forward and
okay.
Save some time at the end.
Okay. This is the demo I like the most because I have and I hope you do as well. The scenario is the following. You have some documentation somewhere about former events or conclusions. Maybe you also have contracts. Then it becomes really interesting. And in my case now, there is I have the fictitious event scenario that I am the person who needs to prepare some panel questions for a panel discussion at the World Economic Forum, which is started, I think, yesterday in Davos here in Switzerland. And I need to lead a panel discussion with Ursula von der Leyen, and I need to prepare for that. So what I did is I took, let me go now, I will now for this, I will use the Microsoft 365 app. This is your window to the Microsoft 365 environment. An app, if you don't have it, you can install it from the store. And of course, as all the apps that we ship now, it has included a Copilot functionality. And what I'm doing now is the following. I will put in a prompt that says, can you look at? And if you put in a slash here and go to files, it shows you, gives you a user interface. And if you keep typing now, can you look at Ursula 2021 Davos? This is the transcript of the speech from Ursula von der Leyen that she did in 2021. And compare it with let me now slash, and now I take again my file thing here, my files picker, and compare it with this one. Can you look at Ursula and compare it with Ursula's speech? Let me put speech here. Create a table with similar topics and the differences. Let's see. You can use this, of course, for all documents that you want to compare. If it's two contracts, if you know what a minister of a certain country for health has said 5 years ago and what he said 2 years ago, and so on. So any two documents can be compared using this technology. And I really have to say, when I saw this the first time, I thought that's incredible. And I hope you agree with that. It's really useful. Now, what the last point concerning my scenario is, can you give me 3 questions I can ask Ursula at the panel discussion. And yeah, it's maybe a little bit too short, this prompt, but it tries now to come up with questions that could be useful for you to start a panel discussion. And it's really not bad. You know, it says here the Green Deal and then the net zero, and how is the European Union supporting the situation in Ukraine, and so on. So yeah, this is this scenario. And in the interest of time, I will jump immediately to something a little bit different. And this is our scenario, our last one. It's anyway the last one. Nah, not yet. But let me. No, it's okay. The scenario is you are the HR team of a UN company. You get a lot of questions, which just makes a lot of work to answer, and you think, how can technology help us, like the Copilot? And for this, you cannot use the complete Copilot, because the complete Copilot would use the questions or the data from a whole company. You want to only have questions answered based on data which are a small subset, maybe a simple PDF document or maybe 2 Excel tables or so. And I just wanted to show you quickly how that could look like. Go here, where's my, no, here. And I need to log in my demo environment. What I did here is I created a GPT. This is the OpenAI language for this, basically saying, use only a subset of my data to satisfy any queries. And I created here one which a GPT or a Copilot, which only has one slide, one database in it, and this one database is simply a file that I uploaded, a HR file. And in this PDF, which I uploaded here, I can, let me show you the PDF. So, yeah, it's the UN salaries and benefits PDF. And I can now go here and say, what is the child allowance in Austria? Okay. And it should, this is an information that is available in this PDF here. It's 2,200 euros. And here is the citation. This is the link to the document that to this PDF here that gives you is used to pull out the right information. So this is a Copilot or a chatbot for a HR unit, which then you can put either on Teams or on a Teams channel, or you put it on your intranet page. Of course, you can also put it on your internet page, so that interested parties can go to this chatbot and find answers. So, Tiers, I hope I didn't take too much time from you.
Nope, perfect. So quick question from the chat, Martin, from Maria, who just asked, are we talking a paid version or included version for what you just showed?
So the Bing Chat Enterprise is the Bing Chat Enterprise is something that all UN customers have licensed already. The Copilot is something you would need to buy in addition. This is this famous, this product which costs about $27 per user per month for UN customers. Normally it's $30. And the last piece, the Copilot Studio, where I showed you this bot creation piece, this comes with Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this is included in this offering.
Okay, so I think there's still some more questions in the chat, but in the interest of time, I'll go ahead and
run
share.
Through them and see what I can
think
answer.
I got most of them, but there might still be a few. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Give me 1 second. Let's make sure that it works. Okay. Give me 1 minute to get to the right slide. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to get into some more of the more, I guess, complex use cases. I'll talk about what the technology is. I pre-recorded all of these because I don't trust, we internally at Microsoft get throttled with how fast we can get answers with Azure OpenAI. So we would be waiting here a whole nother hour. I'm kidding, but longer than a couple seconds. So I pre-recorded all of it. But the first use case, and if you are experiencing these use cases, I know there are people out there, I don't know if they're on this call, I don't want to dime anyone out, but feel free to put it in the chat because there are other people that are interested in this too. All of these use cases I've had conversations with many organizations on. So please go ahead and interact in the chat with each other as well. So the first use case is that we have a help desk for humanitarian aid. So more of a call center. I'm going to show not exactly humanitarian aid, but in the interest of showing you something that is built. So we built this a couple months ago, and this is based in the US in getting social services, access to social services in 2 cities in the United States. So this is PVA, or now Copilot Studio is the new name for it. In the front end on a web app, and then on the back end, it's Azure OpenAI with a database of curated data for this. So this is being asked in Spanish. Everything in the database is in English, but the person wants to respond in Spanish or ask in Spanish. So it's multilingual out of the box, which is great. And you can interact with it here. I think I forgot to share sound, but there's also an ability. Please don't call this number because I think it charges to my personal credit card. But you can call the number and then get speech to speech with the chatbot as well. And then the powerful thing is when to escalate to a human. So you get kind of the low level things out of the way, and then you can escalate to human. The other use case that depending if you run a call center, that's another huge use case on just helping the agent answering the phone access the right things at the right time. Can you hear that or no?
Yeah.
Can anyone hear the audio?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear it.
Okay, so this is the speech to speech. This is me asking for transportation. And so that just gives you an understanding of what you can do with this. Now there's neural voices that you can train. So you could train it in somebody's voice that sounds better than the robotic voice that's in here as well. So very, very kind of cool on how you can bring these together. Okay, so I'll pause there. Any quick questions on that? Okay.
I think maybe just quickly,
Yeah.
maybe 2 to 3 questions, a recap of what we've seen so far. So,
Sure.
Tirza, maybe you could speak a bit to the safety of our data and data privacy
Sure.
when using these products, and then maybe a little overview about semi-structured data, structured data, and so on, and what that looks like across the
Sure.
stack. But I think we'll cap it at that. Move on to the next one after.
Okay, so
Thanks.
privacy. So in general, Microsoft's policy, so each product has a privacy statement as well. Outside of the consumer version of Bing, which we didn't show. Martin showed just a tad bit of it, but everything else enterprise version is all protected. Microsoft doesn't have access to the data, doesn't use it to train the data. And so your data is your data. It stays within the bounds of your tenant. And then the second one was, what was the second question, Fiona?
Just a little overview between the use of semi-structured data, structured data, and what that looks like.
As soon as
across,
I asked, I remembered. Okay, so where large language models really shine is on unstructured data. We'll show even video in a minute. So that's like why they've kind of revolutionized how people think about AI, because before you had to structure everything to do your ML models, and now you can just put a bunch of stuff in and it can reason over that unstructured data. Semi-structured it can do too, as well as structured. And so structured, although the large language models seem to do better on the unstructured. There's more engineering that you have to put into the structured. And if you want more on that, I'm happy to give it to you in another session, but just know that there are tools for each one. I wouldn't say use a large language model for everything. We're picking out the use cases that we think they're most apt to do. They're definitely not great for everything. And there are better tools for other stuff. So M365 version, structured and unstructured. There are plugins, and we hit on this in the video, so I'd encourage you to watch the recorded video that we did. So there are plugins and for M365 Copilot that allows extensibility, and you can plug into to some structured databases. There's a lot of questions on like Workday, etc. For that. So you can extend your M365 Copilot out as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. So the next use case is where we want, so this is M365 Copilot is really good if you just have like one document that you're trying to do, or two like Martin showed. But when you get a ton of documents, it currently has a limit on that. So how do you do that? You need something a little bit more robust. This is what we call retrieval augmented generation. So in this example, we have climate change policies. I pulled a couple biennial reports from UNFCCC and put them in a storage account, and then indexed them, and then pointed the large language model at that to be able to answer questions on that. So that's what we're going to see now, and we'll ask a couple questions of these policy documents based on the couple countries that I downloaded. I didn't do everything, but you can see this is where I took the policy documents from. I uploaded them. I gave a system message. This is what's called a meta prompt to the system of what I wanted it to do, what its job was, and what I needed assistance with. And then I added my data source, and there's some parameters that you can change. I'm not going to show that. And then you can start asking questions of the data. And so here I'm asking it to look at, which ones did I do on this one? South Africa, Bangladesh, and Mongolia. And to compare them in a table. So that's what I'm asking it to do. You can see it's doing that. If I wanted it to be more specific, I could change my prompt or my question. And then those are the citations. So you can see the citation comes up. So really, again, you want to check this. It gives you a good starting point, but you want to check the citation in where it's at in the document. For if there's any super technical people on the call, this is using GPT-4 Turbo. So this is here. And then I ask, the top 5 trends that you're seeing in the report, and it'll give those out along with the references as it sees it. And then I asked it to do a little bit of a deeper dive into Mongolia, and then what suggestions we could have to a UN org helping Mongolia. So it comes up with some suggestions. You all probably have a better handle on this than I do as far as how accurate it is. I didn't go through everything and completely double check it in the interest of time, but I think I put this in the chat, but somebody said, and now I've stolen it, that treat the co-pilots like they're kind of like your intern, where they're going to help you, but they're not going to get you all the way there, and you can't just turn their stuff in. So just kind of think about that. And so that's just another way to use it. Again, this is a large repo, and to Basil, your question, sorry if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. So this is going over a large repository of documents, which M365 Copilot currently can't do. Now you could, I think, build a plugin into M365 Copilot, or you could make this be a chatbot within Teams. So this is in the Azure portal. You could deploy the front end, could be a Power Virtual Agent, or what we call Copilot Studio now, so a chatbot. You could put it into Teams, you could put it into a web app. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this on the front end. This is just showing you what the back end would look like. Okay. And okay, the next one is probably my favorite because this wasn't possible a little bit ago. And so this is pictures, except we're not actually going to do pictures. We're going to do videos because they're more exciting. If you want to see pictures, happy to do that as well on another session, but we're going to do some video. I actually don't have access to the video, so I had to have somebody else who does have access to the video. They don't want us taking up all the compute internally at Microsoft. So here I'm saying that you're a video security officer, you're looking for any anomalies. And so I'm uploading a video here of what this is. It's really a video of a fire. And so this is coming like live feed video, if you will, that's coming in. Again, here it's not a live feed video, but you could build it into your application. And so you can see here, it's saying that there is an anomaly in the video. It's a possible fire. And then it gives you a little bit about what the other environment is. And then, nothing too big there, except if you're somewhere else, it might be helpful, or if you're just reading it out and not looking at the video. And so it's telling you where the fire is and that it's progressing. So pretty interesting on how it can do that. And that took, not very long at all to get that output. So imagine if you have many video footages that you're trying to decipher in a timely manner. The second one is, let's just say this is a car that has damage around it. This is a car, but imagine it's something else. I didn't have any flood damage or anything in my house, so I couldn't do anything with that. But let's say that this is, you're just taking a picture inside and out. You're asking, and you know what you want out of the picture. So in the prompt, this is what was asked for, the license plate, the car, etc., and then the description of the car damage. And if you saw in the video, I don't know if you caught it, but the rear right side had significant damage. That damage that was shown, it's kind of interesting because it says that noticeable scuff marks, etc. But where's it at? Okay, the extent and nature of the damage suggests the vehicle was involved in a side sweep accident or scraped against a rough surface. It was actually scraped against one of the poles in an indoor parking garage, so pretty on spot there for what it was doing. I've seen it with some video of actually just pictures of flood damage, and it was also like pretty amazing, even figuring out where the water could be coming from. And I couldn't decipher that myself, where the water was coming from, but it was really interesting to do. So this is out of the box GPT. So this is one of the large language models. It's an OpenAI large language model that's in Azure OpenAI. It's GPT-4 Vision. And so that's the model that is behind this. It's one of the newest large language models that are out there. So you would build this you could just do it in the playground, like in the Azure portal, but not recommended at all. Recommended that you build it into an application in some sort of front end with a lot more robustness built around it to help with security, etc. Okay, so I think those are all of our use cases. Just in summary, again, start with the top, go to the bottom. If you can do it with M365 Copilot, do it there if you have it, and Then you have PVA or Copilot Studio to do your chatbots. It can also be your front end for other things. And then you have Azure OpenAI for your most custom workloads. So with that, Fiona, I don't know if you want to pick some questions. I haven't been paying as much attention to the chat as I was talking.
I'll try my best. So I think there was a good question on tokens. Maybe I'll just read it out loud to save some time. So this was on use case number 9. I don't know if you want to pull it up, but is the solution limited to the same number of tokens as the publicly available GPT-4 Turbo, as in the results would only be based on the top 5 search results? And then a couple of questions, or I'll let you answer that, and then I'll
Sure.
follow up.
Okay, I see it. So no, so you can set the parameters to be more than the top 5 search results. I think I set my parameter in this for 20, I think is what I did for this one. But you can change the parameters. And then for the token limits, that's like a whole discussion in and of itself. I don't so there are different ways to there's kind of out of the box tokens, and there's ways to balance the tokens that you have. I can't remember what the max token limit is for GPT-4 Turbo, but it's something like 120,000 or something like that. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. And then just a couple of questions around Azure AI Studio and Copilot Studio, and apologies if you've touched on this. So maybe just a little recap on the distinction between those two.
Yes, of course. So Copilot Studio, great question. Copilot Studio is your low code kind of chatbot. So you can add, I think, up to 5 websites right now. You can do kind of your Q&A. You can get something going pretty quickly in Copilot Studio. It's not as customizable as building a custom AI app using Azure AI Studio. That's kind of the basics. The other thing to note about Copilot Studio, again, just a shout out to watch the other video as well, is that there is a licensing difference. So Copilot Studio, a couple different ways to license it, but if you just bought it, it would be $200 a month with 25,000 messages. Azure is based on consumption, so per API call and really per number of tokens. So there's a difference in that's a variable cost versus more of a fixed cost as well.
I've pasted a link into the comments about the Copilot Studio and where you could get more information. And the best way to play with it is to create a demo environment.
Yes.
A trial license environment. And
agreed.
You have your admin, and then you can do everything. It's also what I did. It costs nothing.
Great. Well, I think we'll call it with that. Thank you so much, Tirza and Martin, for your invaluable time, and thanks so much, colleagues, for all of the engagement and participation. We maybe in the event recap will pick questions that weren't answered in the chat, and we'll include that in the email readout along with the recording, the pre-session video, and then also the PowerPoint that was shared. And then perhaps we'll also include maybe a little poll, just flagging this in advance on which of the use cases might be more interesting to do a deeper dive into, or any sort of follow-up session that you'd be interested in having. And with that, thank you so much again, Tirza and Martin. It's been wonderful having you guys. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Everyone. Thanks, Fiona. Thanks, Johanna.
Bye-bye. Have
Bye.
a wonderful
Bye.
day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.